Hi everybody, welcome to Tech. I'm Neil and today we're going to take a look at the Acme Villain 10 scale brushless monster truck. Now as you can see I've got the box in front of me here with a nice colour picture of the model itself on the outside. So let's take the lid off and see how it measures up. Now Acme have been in this business for quite some time now, and as well as a really cool looking box, they've honed their the way that they package stuff securely, and they always go for these deep foam side bolsters here to hold vehicles securely in the box for transport, and obviously this is no exception. We've got the radio box just here at the end, so that's going to house and package everything away for the radio gear and the charger, I guess, in there. And then underneath the car itself, I'll get it out in a moment, we're going to have the instruction manual too. So great packaging from a great manufacturer. Now with everything out on the table, first impressions of the truck. Well, I have to say when I first saw it I thought, oh, it's a camouflage, a military style vehicle, because obviously we've got these tones going on with the body shell. It's a great multicoloured shell going on, but actually as you look at it, it's not so much the camouflage. It's almost like I don't know, something you'd associate with a baddie from a Batman movie or something like that. Really quite glossy. It's a pickup truck style, and it's not, as I say, not quite camouflage, something a bit more, I don't know, cartoony about it. But anyway, I think it's a great looking truck. We've got quite clearly a huge wide track here, and that's going to help it with the off-road environment, which is going to be living in most of the time, I suspect. Then moving around the table, of course, we've got a trusty LiPo balance charger. Now I really like this one because it has various LEDs for the state of charge for the battery. Being a balance charger, it ensures that the three cells that are in the battery for this particular model are equally charged to perfection every time you charge. So it's a great little charger, that I have to say. Of course, the obligatory instruction manual, well, I'll take a quick look at that in a few moments because it's really important. And then of course we've got the radio gear now, a steer wheel design, which is extremely popular these days. It's moving away from sticks, particularly with cars. So stick radios, obviously the old-fashioned stuff. Steer wheel is really the intuitive design to go for. Now this is a 2.4 gigahertz radio, and essentially what that means is that there are no crystals to change, and it's a purely digital system, which means that there is no risk of interference that you would get with the old FM or AM style radio. So it's a really great step on in technology that's been embraced by the radio control community. Now of course you want your Villain to look this good for a long time, and of course it will do, because this beautifully flexible body is going to soak up the punishment that you can throw at it, you know. And of course with all of these sorts of things, the colour scheme is applied on the inside. It's not going to scratch, you can't scratch it off. It's just going to look great and be very, very durable. Now with the body shell out of the way, there's a couple of things that really leap out. Firstly, it's the common parts that are used around the car, particularly the suspension components. We've got upper and lower wishbones, which are the same parts left to right, they're just flipped over. And similarly, the rear of the car is the same as the front. So you could add a couple of wishbones to your order, and know that if you do have any major accidents and break a wishbone, no matter which corner of the car is affected, you'll have the spares. And I really like that simplicity. It stacks up on so many levels. The second thing that really leaps out is the fact we've got this blue anodized chassis. Now the advantages of that is obviously we've got strength and rigidity, which then makes the suspension do the job that it's designed to do and not flop around in the chassis. And also having a stiffer chassis like this really helps sharpen up the steering inputs. So it's a really great inclusion of that upgraded chassis, and I'm really pleased to see that. That's a real bonus. Now looking at the other side of the car, we've just turned it round, we can see this great blue anodized motor here. Now this is a brushless motor, and it differs from the conventional brush motors. Basically it doesn't have parts that wear out, it doesn't reduce its performance over time, there are no real serviceable elements to it. It's kind of put it in, away you go, forget about it, and it delivers really great performance, this one. Now the other advantage with brushless motors is because they are more efficient, they don't lose as much energy to heat. That all translates to a longer runtime out of your battery, and you can get more performance onto the ground from your battery than you could with a conventional brushed motor. So moving ahead of the motor now, we've got this electronic speed controller. Now as you can see, it's anodized blue to match the rest of the car, which is great. We've got the on-off switch for the car here. The speed controller is sort of the hub of the car really. It distributes the power to the other electronic components, the receiver and the laydown servo that you can see here, as well as the motor. Now this one is fitted with a T-connector plug, so you can't connect the polarity of the battery the wrong way around, which is a lovely feature. It's particularly if you've got somebody who's perhaps a bit more younger or inexperienced using this vehicle, that's going to be nice and safe. You're not going to do any damage by connecting it incorrectly. So moving forward of the speed controller, we've got this 2.4 gigahertz receiver, and the good thing about 2.4 gigahertz, as well as the security of the transmission of the signal, is the fact that the aerial is just so small, so you don't have to have these big long aerials that we used to associate with radio control models. So nice and short and neat and tidy. So then underneath the receiver, we've of course got the steering servo laid down on the chassis. I always like to see that because it keeps the weight as low down as possible, which ultimately influences the handling of the car. And we've got turnbuckles here for adjustability, just to fine-tune the servo steering. And of course we've got this servo saver here, so the knocks that could be transmitted through the steering linkages don't get all the way back to the servo and potentially cause damage. So really quite strong as an overall chassis. It's been well thought through. So looking down the other side of the car again now, we've got the battery pack. It takes up the whole side. It's very secure in this strap mechanism, but easy to take out too. Not that you'll need to, I have to say. It's got a nice sturdy plastic construction to the battery pack, so there's no worries there with anything coming apart. It's 11.1 volts, 3 cell, 2,200 milliamp hours. Now, what does that mean? Well, essentially, most RC cars come with a 7.2 or a 7.4 volt battery, but by going to 11.1 volts with 3 cell, you have that increase in voltage, which is going to really set this vehicle apart from the competition. You've got that extra voltage punch through the motor, and of course with LiPo batteries being so lightweight as they are, you know, you've got the increase in power plus the decrease in weight, and that all combines to make a fantastic electronics package. And then of course, as we said, it's already hooked up to a great speed controller and 2.4 gigahertz technology. So of course, as an electronics package, before you get onto the chassis itself, it really is top notch. Now looking more at the transmission, starting at the back, we've got a bevel gear differential in this housing. You can't unfortunately see it, but that is designed that way so that it keeps the stones out, and obviously the bearings working properly, the differentials working properly. It's a shaft drive vehicle, so just in front of that we've got the spur gears. We've already talked about there's a slipper clutch on there to protect the rest of the transmission. And then as we move forward of that, you'll be able to see we've got this metal central shaft. Obviously a vehicle of this type just has to be four-wheel drive to get the power that the motor can produce down into the ground. And we've got an almost identical setup at the front with the differential casing there. So the transmission, very simple, very elegant and functional. So looking at the front end, as you can see, we've got these threaded shock body, so we can change the ride height of the vehicle. We've got a number of mounting positions here which do genuinely influence the handling of the truck, so you've got various options available to you there too. So again, for completeness, the rear of the car is almost identical to the front, with this very fluid suspension motion that's available. Of course, the pillow ball suspension is here, and you can adjust the camber and track as well. Now, just before we move on to looking at the radio, it's well worth mentioning the tyres. As you can see, we've got the tyre tread that comes almost all the way down the side wall. It's a very sort of horizontal rib design of tread, as you can see, so that's going to get plenty of forward bite, but we do have vertical ribs down the centre, which will help with steering inputs as well. The rubber itself is nice and pliable and flexible, and I like the fact that the air, as you can probably hear, is capable of moving in and out of the tyre, and that's important because the air in tyres does tend to get hot, and they do tend to balloon, which affects performance over a longer runtime. But there's no problem with that here. We've got to this nice movement of air going on. Super stuff. So let's take a look at the radio. So moving on to the radio, of course, it's a steer wheel, as we've touched on before. We've got very positive action here from the steer wheel, nicely covered in this tactile foam, very comfortable to use. As you'd expect with a radio of 2.4 gigahertz and of this quality, you'd expect we've got trim adjustments for both of the channels. We've got the acceleration and braking features here on a trigger, and we've got this nice addition of the thumb wheel. Now this will actually, when you move it, adjust the amount of physical lock that the steering has, so you might appreciate less or more steering lock given any particular surface that your truck's on, and that's something that you can actually adjust while you're driving, which is quite a nicely pointed feature there. As you'd expect, we've got reverse switches for the operation of servo, so if you wanted to go on and use this radio with another vehicle later on, you've got that option, and finish off nicely with a couple of LEDs there to give you some indication of the state of charge in the batteries. Now it takes 8 AA batteries which fit in the compartment at the bottom, and once they're in there, it really does give a nice balanced feel in the hand with that weight at the bottom. Now whilst we're talking of the radio gear, if you take a look at the manual, you'll be able to see that this model comes with options of function for forward with brake, forward with reverse, and also forward with and reverse with a braking option. So there's a number of different options and settings that you can program into this speed controller. So really a very versatile and advanced feature of this particular model, and that came as somewhat of a surprise. So really, when you sort of start looking at the Villain as an overall package, let's just touch on the features again. We've got 11.1 volt LiPo battery, which will give great performance. It's matched to a brushless motor for super efficiency and again longevity in runtime and performance. The car itself, we've got an alloy chassis for strength, we've got a very fluid suspension motion, great looking body shell, and then all topped off with a 2.4 gigahertz radio, which is adjustable and is tied in with the speed controller, which again has a number of adjustable features. So although on the face of it, this is just aimed at kind of fun, and you could just put the batteries in and charge it and have a great time, there's actually a lot of room for tinkering and adjusting the various features to get this car how you would really ideally want it to, and to respond to you. So I have to say, super job from Acme with this great Villain model. So we've looked at the Villain in quite a lot of detail. On the surface of it, it's quite a fun, easy to get on with car, but when you start looking at the detail and the numbers and the electronics that's involved, it's actually quite a high performance model, and so the looks are somewhat deceiving to a degree. The only way to make this car better is, of course, to have a longer runtime, and to that end we do have available additional battery packs. Now, the additional ones that we have, and you can click through them on the page, are 3,600 milliamp hours, so they're about half as much again as the standard capacity in the truck as it comes, so you're going to get that extra runtime. Really lovely finish as well, with kind of like a carbon-ish sort of I don't know, kind of carbon fibre look to them. Quite really lovely. And then of course you're going to need some AA batteries for that radio, and naturally we have them available in a rechargeable format with a nice mains charger as well, and they're really inexpensive to add to your order. So that's it. Thank you very much again for watching this short video. I look forward to seeing you again soon, and remember that Nitrotech always offer RC at the best possible prices, so keep it here.